Title: The Story of Esther and Mordecai. 1. A new queen in Persia. Long ago, in the land of Persia, there lived a powerful king named Ahasuerus, Xerxes. He ruled over many provinces, from India to Ethiopia. One day, he held a great feast and invited all his nobles. When he asked Queen Vashti to appear before everyone, she refused. The king became angry and decided to remove her from being queen. Then, he sent out a command for all the young and beautiful women in the land to be brought to the palace, so he could choose a new queen. 2. Esther becomes queen. In the city of Susa lived a Jewish man named Mordecai, who had raised his cousin Esther after her parents died. Esther was beautiful and wise. When she was taken to the palace, she found favor with everyone, especially with the king. King Ahasuerus loved Esther more than all the others and placed the royal crown on her head, making her the new queen of Persia. However, Esther kept her family background and her Jewish identity a secret because Mordecai told her not to reveal it. 3. Mordecai saves the king. One day, Mordecai overheard 2 guards plotting to kill the king. He quickly told Esther, and she informed the king in Mordecai's name. The plot was investigated, and the men were executed. Mordecai's good deed was written down in the royal record, but he received no reward at that time. 4. The wicked Haman. Soon after, a man named Haman was promoted to a very high position in the kingdom. Everyone bowed down to him, except Mordecai. Haman became furious when he learned that Mordecai was a Jew and refused to bow. In his anger, Haman planned not only to destroy Mordecai, but to kill all the Jews in the empire. He convinced the king to issue a decree ordering that all Jews be killed on a certain day. 5. Mordecai's message to Esther. When Mordecai heard about the decree, he tore his clothes in sorrow and sent word to Queen Esther. He begged her to go before the king and plead for her people. At first, Esther was afraid. Anyone who went to the king without being called could be killed unless the king held out his golden scepter. But Mordecai sent her this message. Do not think that, because you are in the king's palace, you will escape. Who knows if you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? These words gave Esther courage. 6. Esther's brave decision. Esther asked all the Jews in Susa to fast and pray for 3 days, and she and her servants did the same. Then she dressed in her royal robes and went to see the king. When the king saw her, he was pleased and held out his golden scepter to her. Esther invited the king and Haman to a special banquet. 7. The first banquet. At the banquet, the king asked Esther what she wanted. She invited them to come to another banquet the next day, promising to tell her request then. That night, Haman left feeling proud, but when he saw Mordecai still refusing to bow, he became furious. He built a tall gallows to hang Mordecai on the next morning. 8. The king's sleepless night. That same night, the king couldn't sleep. He asked for the royal records to be read to him, and they told the story of how Mordecai had saved his life. The king asked if Mordecai had ever been rewarded, and the servants said no. Just then, Haman entered, planning to ask for Mordecai's death. But before he could speak, the king asked him, "What should be done for the man the king delights to honor?" Haman thought the king meant him, so he described a great parade with royal robes and a royal horse. The king said, "Go quickly and do this for Mordecai the Jew." Haman had to lead Mordecai through the city, shouting his honor. Haman was humiliated. 9. Esther's second banquet. The next day, at the second banquet, the king asked Esther again what she desired. She said, "If I have found favor with you, let my life and the lives of my people be spared. We are to be destroyed and killed." The king was shocked. Who would dare do such a thing? He asked. Esther pointed to Haman and said, "The adversary and enemy is this wicked Haman." The king became angry and left the room. When he returned, he saw Haman begging for mercy. The king ordered that Haman be hanged on the very gallows he had built for Mordecai. 10. The Jews are saved. After Haman's death, the king gave his house and riches to Esther. Mordecai was promoted to Haman's position of power. Esther pleaded again with the king to cancel Haman's evil decree. The king allowed Mordecai to write a new decree giving the Jews permission to defend themselves. On the appointed day, the Jews triumphed over their enemies and were saved. 11. The Feast of Purim. To celebrate their deliverance, Mordecai and Esther declared that the Jews should keep a yearly feast called Purim, a joyful time of feasting, gladness, and giving gifts to one another and to the poor. 12. Mordecai's greatness. Mordecai became second in command to King Ahasuerus, respected among the Jews, and used his power for the good of his people. Esther remained queen and continued to be remembered as a brave and faithful woman who risked her life to save her people. Moral of the story. The story of Esther and Mordecai teaches us about courage, faith, and the power of standing up for what is right. It reminds us that God can use anyone, no matter their background, to fulfill a great purpose.